All right, well, I suppose we can go on and get started here. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It's April 12th, already to the middle of the month of April. I'm pleased to welcome AccuWeather's senior meteorologist, Dave Dombek, as this week's weather briefing presenter. And without further ado, Dave, I will let you take the floor.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks once again for the invitation to do this. I usually try. I think last spring, with everything going down the tubes at that point, that was the only semester that I had missed for the briefing. I usually try to do once a semester in spring and the fall, and that was the only one that I had missed for many years. So what I am going to do, I'm going to hit screen share. I've got stuff in a PowerPoint to kind of make it a little more presentable here, and this should, okay, let's go that. Okay, everybody could see the screen share here. We're good.
That works.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to actually start off with some Climo stats for State College, kind of where we are, and a little bit wrap up for this spring and last month, some interesting information there. I'm going to give you a little going down memory lane for myself. In my lifetime, some of the most memorable Easter Easter weekend weather that I can remember. We're going to quick look at some precip departures for the U.S. Also take a quick look at the U.S. Drought monitor, the drought status across the U.S. And then, of course, go into the current and upcoming weather, which will take up the lion's share of the presentation today. So let me actually this would be better. Now it's actually on the full PowerPoint. So starting off with some Climo, it's interesting that last month, we only had a trace of snow in State College, so no measurable snow. And I was looking back at the Climo records, kind of going back to about 2000, and I actually found 4 other years that had no measurable precip in the month of March here in State College: 2014, 12, 09, and then 2000. Of course, the normal snowfall for State College is right around 45 inches. Actually, I think the previous one, might have been closer to 46. So mid 40s is what our average is. And look at that. I mean, you can't get much closer to, an average winter than what we just had. It was a weird, it didn't come in a normal way, if per se, like, oh, we got nice, even distribution of our snowfall throughout the season. As we know, we got dumped upon with that mid-December storm. That was a biggie. And then February was, that was a powerhouse of a month snowfall wise, but really January it kind of went quiet and dead. And, in December, other than that one big storm, we really didn't have a whole lot. And of course, March, we had no measurable snow. So it's interesting. We had a normal season of snowfall, but it certainly was not a normal distribution. Going back on some of those other winters where we didn't have any measurable snow in the month of March, 13, 14, 52 inches, a little bit above. And then 11, 12, that was like a real dud of a winter here, only 19 inches. And even 99, 2000, we only had 19.3 inches. So I really couldn't see any pattern here. Although none of the 4 that I picked here that had no measurable in March, none of them had well above normal snowfall. We had one slightly above. And I also tried to find some kind of a correlation between no measurable snowfall in March and what the following spring and summer weather would be in State College. Really couldn't find any patterns. There's both positive and negative temperature anomalies. Precip was generally, what I found is in the spring and summer following the no measurable March snowfall, the precip pattern generally near normal to somewhat above. The driest was actually the summer of 2000, only 76% of normal rainfall, but there were no unusually dry periods that I found. Now, some April weather so far in State College after no measurable snow this year. Now, I don't have the data yet. I didn't put the data in for yesterday, so this is actually through Saturday, through the 10th. I don't have the 11th data in there, and obviously we did pick up some precip here in the last 24 or 30 hours or so. But temperatures running above normal, and obviously we're going to add some to that precip total. we have, and we're going to add a little bit more here in the short term. And we've had 0.3 of an inch of snow. April 2014, that was a little bit below normal, very close to normal precip, and then a trace of snow. 2012, again, below normal in April by a little bit, somewhat drier. But here's the interesting thing about 2012, for those of you who remember this, or who were in State College at that time, that 2011, 2012 was a very, I mean, it was just a non-winter, very little snow, was above normal. And March was just incredible how warm it got in March. I was cutting grass that year. I mean, it was the fourth week of April, and everybody, or fourth week of March, and everybody around here was already cutting their grass. I mean, everything just busted out so quickly. That departure, look at that, 11.5 degrees above normal in March of 2012. And what happened? All the blossoms, all the everything was flowering. And then April actually got, got cold. We were a little bit below normal that April, and we had some cold shots. It was just a normal April, and we got some freezes, and that totally wiped out the apple crop. I know Ways Fruit Farm had some, because they had some of their apples, their orchards up on the side of the ridge there, but other ones down in the valley got totally wiped out. The apple crop was just destroyed, and other fruit in the area as well, including grapes, really took a big hit that year in 2012. That's why I'm always leery. It's like, yeah, it's great that everybody wants warm weather in the spring, early spring, and you're sick of winter, but the one danger is that everything comes out too quickly, and then you have a hard freeze, and then it just, you have some trouble and damage to agriculture and just your backyard flowers and so forth. 2019 or 2009, we were a little bit above, again, pretty close to normal with the precip and a trace of snow. And then there's your stats for 2000. So little note, in April, it's extremely common. Oops, sorry about that. Jumpy. It's extremely common to get at least a trace of snow during the month of April here in State College. Extremely common. Vast majority of the time, you'll get at least a trace. And I would say more than 50% of the time, I don't have the actual stat on that, but it's probably on the order of 60, 70% of the time, there'll be at least one measurable snow in the month of April. Oftentimes it's in the first 10 days of the month, but not always. There have been significant snowfalls like deep into the month of April. And then again, just talking about April in State College, this is where we are, normal high and low on the 1st and the 30th. So we could really see how those normals come up big time during this month. All-time hottest, 92, way back 1942 on the last day of the month. Interesting. And then the coldest day all-time was on the 1st, 1 degree above zero, 1923. There's our normal precip, and then your wettest and driest. So a pretty big spread there. Normal snowfall, 1.4 inches. And here's a very significant stat there, our daylight gain. 75 minutes, 1 hour and 15 minutes from the 1st to the 30th. So the daylight is ramping up very quickly at this time of the year. You do the math on that, it's basically an average of 2.5 minutes of daylight gain per day. So it's very significant, even within a week's time period, it's about 18, 19 minutes. The occurrence of thunderstorms rapidly increases during the month of April here, statistically, climatologically. And of course, we do have these huge swings, the classic roller coaster rides that we get this month. And, in the spring season in general, all the transition seasons, you're going to get big swings in the roller coaster ride in temperatures, which is very, very common. These are some memories for me. Now, obviously the Easter and Passover season, those holidays are floating dates. They're not like, the 4th of July is the 4th of July, Independence Day. Christmas is always the 25th of December, but Easter and Passover, those floating holidays, that the dates could really range anywhere from late March to about the 4th week of April. Where I grew up as a kid, I was up in Dallas, PA. I was not too far west of the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton metro area there, northeastern Pennsylvania. And in my lifetime, there's probably two extremes that still are on the book today that haven't surpassed that. One, Easter Sunday, 1970. I was in 6th grade at the time. March 29th, we had just shy of a foot of snow on Easter Sunday, about 11 inches. And then that night, everything cleared out. It got really cold, dropped. I think where I was, it was probably close to zero, but the record, it was a record low the next morning at Avoca Airport of 6 above. The other extreme end of the spectrum was when I was in it was 1976. I was a senior in high school then, getting ready to graduate in a couple of months. And there was a heat wave, record heat for like 3 or 4 days in a row. It went through the whole Easter holiday weekend, 3 days or 4 days in a row where temperatures were up near or above 90. And on Easter Sunday itself, there was a record high of 92 degrees. I remember that year, everything just like all the leaves just popped out in a very, very short period of time. It was like bare trees. And then within like 5 days, we had all these leaves out. It was crazy. And that year of 1976, at least where I grew up there in northeastern PA, we never had any weather that hot again the rest of the year. That ended up being our hottest weather of the entire year. A little quick snapshot of what's going on across the country, precip-wise. This is since the beginning of the year. And you can see where the wet areas and where the dry areas are. This is going back to January 1st. And this is the latest drought monitor from not too many days ago. This is going to be updated, obviously. They update this on a regular basis. But you can see even in the Northeast, there are some pockets of dryness, not just the abnormally dry, but we actually had to have, that D1, that first tier shading of the drought, the moderate drought. And then, of course, some pretty serious situation out in the Western states, particularly the Southwest. And they've got some big problems out there. You think about it, yes, they do get their monsoon pattern that sets up, sort of mid to late summer with the thunderstorms, and they do get some rainfall, but boy, they've got a long haul, a long wait to go. And, you could still get some storms that come through with a suppressed jet here over the next month or so, but they've got some serious problems out in the southwestern states as far as drought is concerned. And starting with the current and upcoming weather, I wanted to start with a quick look here at the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, the index. And this is the actual, this is the observations. And you can see here that, we've gone negative NAO, and we've been that way for a little while now. We've been consistently negative NAO. And then the ensemble mean forecast for what the NAO is going to do, we're still negative in the short term here. We eventually do scratch our way back up toward neutral, and then there's sort of a split in the models. There's not a really good agreement where things go after that. But we are right now, and we will continue in the short term to be dealing with a negative NAO. And oftentimes the negative NAO cycle means that stage of NAO means you have a little more blockiness going on, and the systems get kind of clogged up, and you don't have that nice quick a situation where the systems are just zipping through in the pattern. They do get kind of jammed up some. And that is what we see. That is absolutely what we see on the current 500 millibar. This is the North American shot here this morning. And you can just look at that. Close low, close low, close low. You got a upper level high up over Northeast Canada. It's just, everything is just all, it definitely, that definitely looks like an early spring pattern with a lot of blockiness and closed lows and so forth. And this kind of tells the story here. You could look at the 500 millibar itself, but you look at the 500 millibar height anomaly, and you could see where the negative anomalies are, again, farther south. Look at that huge positive anomaly, like I was talking about up north, where that upper level high is. And so we certainly do have a, kind of an NAO, negative NAO type look to the pattern here. So we'll start with some maps. Obviously, we just saw the 500. We'll go down to 700 millibars. This is what we're looking at this morning. You could really kind of see where the zone of where the most moisture is in the mid levels here, from the Northeast, the mid-Atlantic states. Not all of the Northeast. You go far enough up into New England, it's actually dry, but that zone going back up into the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest has probably got the most amount of moisture in the mid levels. Here's your 850. Now, while we do have an unsettled pattern, it's really not terribly cold. I mean, look at where your zero, your areas of the country where it's at or below zero at 850, and there's not that many. You know, you got a little pocket there in Minnesota, and of course up in the Dakotas, and the far northern Rockies and into the Pacific Northwest. But and then of course you could really see where your warmth is in the Southwest and into Texas, a little bit of the Southern Plains. Here's your surface pressure analysis. Don't get nervous now. The gradient is really not that strong. It's as it looks like if you were analyzing it every 4 millibars. This is actually analyzed every 1/10 of a millibar, so you can really see the surface pressure features very well. But you can see our original primary low there, just kind of spinning its way over the eastern lakes up over I don't know, maybe London, Ontario or so. And then you actually had a triple point low, a second low that formed yesterday, was already evident yesterday at this time, and that has now exited or getting ready to exit off of the North Carolina, Virginia coast there. And you can definitely see that wedge going on just east of here, where it's like a backdoor front, and you've got some cold air damming going on there. You could just see the way the isobars are oriented to our east there. It's pretty classic. And there you could actually see this is a little bit of a close-up surface map, and look at the temperatures, dew points, and especially the wind barbs, and you could really see, you know, you've got a different air mass over in the eastern part of Pennsylvania than you do, you know, from here westward. Definitely, clearly, there's that maritime, cool, damp air that's or chilly, really. Look at Mount Pocono at that time was 38 degrees, and that air has, you know, gotten down through Philadelphia into the Baltimore, Washington area now, and that's, you know, made some more progress. I think some of that might try to get back in here, but yeah, bottom line, when we get to the forecast, our temperatures here today really won't move a whole lot from where they are now, maybe up 2 or 3 degrees at most. Quick snapshot of the regional composite radar from this morning, and you can kind of see where, you know, obviously it's an unsettled pattern. It's not, you know, huge blob of rain everywhere, but we certainly have patches of moisture and showers, and, you know, embedded maybe some heavier downpours here and there, and some thunder, you know, in various places as well. But this is our unsettled zone for sure. And this is our GOES-16 visible satellite shot here. I took the screenshot just before 13Z today. And the sun is not up high enough. It's still dark out on the West Coast at that time. So I didn't bother with the far West, but I got probably the eastern 3/4 of the US. And again, you can see the unsettled zone, nice over the Southeast, the Tennessee Valley down to the south there. Other than Florida, you got a pretty nice zone down there, but you got an unsettled area from the Northeast, from our area, and on back north and west from here. Now, this is going to be interesting as we watch the sequence. Again, we're not going to get every time step, every 6 hours or every 3 hours or even every 12, but I picked a few going forward, and you can really kind of see what's going on in the upper air. We'll pick 500 millibars, the 500 millibar heights and vorticity. And this is off of the Euro, but this is, we'll start with today. This is 12Z today. Actually, this is 18Z today, excuse me. But look at the, you know, where our closed low is, you know, nearby here. We've got this closed low that's, you know, just to our west, maybe centered over, I don't know, Youngstown, Ohio, or so forth. It's very close, and we're obviously being influenced by that upper level low today in the short term. And then I jumped to 18Z tomorrow, to Tuesday, and notice what happens. That piece has now moved on through, and we're actually in shortwave ridging going on. There's definitely the heights come up tomorrow, and there's shortwave ridging between systems tomorrow. The first system number 1 is gone off the East Coast. System number 2, that other closed low in the upper Midwest, kind of lurking there and getting ready to drop in later in the week. Now we'll jump to 0Z Thursday. This is Wednesday evening. And you can see that, the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, close low, that's making some progress toward us. It's still to the northwest of us, but it certainly is encroaching from the north and west. And now let's go to 12Z Friday. Look at that. That's a nasty looking upper air map right there with a pretty potent upper level low and cold air aloft. And look at how low the heights are. Even look at the 540 contour there, 540 decameter contour. And that's not a real pretty looking map there for the end of the week at 500 millibars. We'll do a couple of quick snapshots here at the mean sea level pressure and also the thicknesses. We'll start with tomorrow evening, 0Z Wednesday. And I'm just looking out the window now, and it's raining pretty good at my place here. I can hear the rain coming down. So here's tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. And so we're kind of in between. It's not a real great weather pattern, the best pattern we could possibly hope for this time of the year. But given this week and given the unsettled nature, this might be about as good as it gets. That we're in between systems tomorrow. We've got that shortwave ridging going on, and so it's relatively quiet in between systems. The one system exiting, the other still to the northwest of us. Now, look at this surface map, the mean sea level pressure and the thicknesses at 12Z on Friday. And look at even like where the 540 contour is, the 540 thickness. And we've got a little pocket in there where we actually have 534 thicknesses. And, we got cyclonic curvature at that point. Not a very pretty looking map here for the middle of April. Looks kind of nasty here at the end of the week. Here's a quick look at a few model soundings. I'm going to use a Euro for this sequence here. And we're going to start with 18Z today. And you can see, obviously, you got a lot of moisture especially from 700 on down. We're going to have a lot of clouds. They're going to be pretty dominant today. We're going to have some showers. We'll get into the forecast in a little bit. This is for 18Z Wednesday. This is where it gets interesting. The Euro is kind of hanging on to the dryness and the nice weather and the warmth, like kind of a little bit more into the day or through the day Wednesday than the NAM and the GFS. The NAM and the GFS, I think, are picking up more, keying in on the height falls starting already on Wednesday and making it cloudier and allowing for some showers to bubble up. And that could also have a bearing on our temperature. So that's a tough one. Wednesday's a tough call, depending on how quickly that the heights are falling from the northwest as that close low approaches. And then here's the Euro sounding for 12Z on Friday. And boy, that's a pretty cold looking sounding there. I mean, it's once you get higher up, there's not a whole lot of moisture, but certainly down, from 800 or so on down, you got a lot of moisture. It looks pretty cloudy at that point, and probably there's some kind of at least light precip being spit out at that time. And look at that flow. It's more of a northerly flow as opposed to northwest. Here's the Euro gridded numbers. This is off of the 0Z run. And, you could see, look at your 850s. You could really see where they bottom out here late in the week. They're down quite a bit on Thursday. They sort of bottom out there early on Friday. And you can look at your gridded numbers. Euro is suggesting that, of this week, that Wednesday is actually the warmest, although when you look at some of the guidance, it's suggesting more Tuesday, or maybe it's even, maybe they're both about the same. And you can see certainly we have chillier weather going on later in the week. And we also have a wet period or wetter period coming up. Probably that's going to be Thursday and Thursday night at some point will be our wettest period after today. Obviously, we got some showers to deal with today in the short term. And here's the GFS gridded numbers, kind of a similar pattern there. When the 850s are bottoming out and everything, it's very similar, maybe just a little bit earlier in the game. But the pattern is pretty similar there. It's a little bit less wet looking here on Thursday and Thursday night than what the Euro is. But the height pattern and the tendency is similar. And here's some food for thought. I actually looked at some ensemble data. We'll start with the Euro, and I also have the GFS ensemble for snowfall. And look at this. This is by by 0Z Saturday, by Friday evening, and look at where it's actually forecasting some accumulating snow. And, that's not unusual. And that's climatologically, that's actually a pretty common thing to happen in the Poconos and up into the Catskills, maybe the Berkshires and that, well into the month of April. That's if you're ever going to pick some places in the Northeast where there can be, and certainly more often than not, there are some occurrences of late season snow, that's where it's going to be, up over the high ground. Around here, yeah, maybe not. It's really sort of hinting that there might be a little bit, probably, but not much. And here's the GFS. Again, very similar, in the placement of where it's actually forecasting some snow here at the end of the week. So what does this all mean? We've got a relatively unsettled weather pattern coming up this week, but it's certainly not going to be a total washout. With that shortwave ridging coming in tomorrow, that's perhaps our best shot at a totally dry day. No guarantee, but that start to finish, that might be our best shot of having a totally dry day. I'm kind of banking on tomorrow, after I get done with my forecasting shift in the evening, of cutting grass. I'm kind of banking on dry weather then, so I can get out and cut my lawn here for the first time this season. Like I said, the Euro is still looking dry on Wednesday. That might be the case. I'm a little nervous though, because heights are starting to fall by then. Our warmest day, again, not warm, but probably our mildest day, is going to be tomorrow or Wednesday, or maybe pretty close call. Gridded numbers suggest more Wednesday, but some of the guidance is either saying the same, or maybe a lean more toward tomorrow with the rising heights and the breaks of sun. The chilliest weather obviously will occur late this week. And like I said earlier, it's not impossible that we actually see some wet snowflakes late this week, especially over the higher elevations. This time of year, the boundary layer, you could look at thicknesses and 850s. It's not the same as, a month or certainly 2 months ago. You need colder 850s, you need lower thicknesses to get at the snow this time of the year, certainly to get something visible down into the valley here, but it's not impossible. And I think the best chance of seeing some snowflakes will be over the ridges around the area. So we will wrap it up with a forecast today, a mostly cloudy day, a few showers around. Like I said, we just had a pretty good brief downpour here where I am, east of Bellefonte. And temperatures are not going to move too much from where they are. They're in the low 50s now, 52, 53, whatever. I'm saying 55 or 6. We're going to maybe gain 2 or 3 degrees at most from where we are right now. It stays mostly cloudy tonight, a couple more showers in the area. Primarily early, but I wouldn't want to, rule something out, deep into the night tonight. 45 for the low. And then tomorrow morning, clouds, maybe a spotty shower, maybe, and then some breaks of sun, gets milder in the afternoon up to 62. Wednesday, I'll call it turning out mostly cloudy. Actually could be some sun for a while. Shower or 2 developing. We'll wait and see on that. If it's a little slower, we wait until Wednesday night, Wednesday evening. I'm going to say high 60, but it could be 62. So it's very close to what we're going to have tomorrow. Thursday, definitely a cooler, more unsettled day, chillier, cloudy. We'll call it periods of rain, and that probably continues into Thursday night. High only 49 that day. Friday's a tough call. I'm going to call it variable cloudiness, which allows for some breaks, but certainly emphasize more of the clouds with the heights as low as they are in the cyclonic curvature. Quite cool, passing shower or 2. Mainly in the morning, probably that's your best shot. I couldn't rule out some wet snowflakes in the morning, especially on the ridges. I'm going to say high 52. Some of the guidance is like 56, 58 that day. And if things progress fast enough, the close low starts to get out of here quick enough, the heights start to come up in the afternoon, the days are getting longer, we get enough subsidence, with the flow going more northwest and downsloping, maybe we actually do get a little higher, 3, 4, 5 degrees. But I also wouldn't be surprised if things are slower. That close low is still like lurking nearby most of the day, and it's pretty cloudy, like start to finish. And we end up not even getting out of the 40s that day. We're barely getting to 48 or 49. So that's a tough call. I'm going to sort of split the difference right now and call Friday about 52 for the high. So overall, not a washout of a week, like we said, but certainly we have episodes more than one episode of unsettled weather this week. So that is my presentation. That's where we're going to wrap it up. And any questions? Anybody have any questions on anything?
And if anyone does have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Make sure you direct it to all panelists and attendees so that everybody can see what your question is. And of course, Dave or I will read the messages as we see them. Bill, no. We're not, no. We're not doing 10th of a millibar.
Yeah, I like that, Bill. That will get a little messy on some of those storms, though.
No, Bill, have you ever seen the cases where a teacher gives out like a fake exam or a fake final? That'd be a good one to pull. I'm the only one here from 413, so I'm the only one who'd know about it.
Actually, I'll ask Bill. I'm going to ask Bill what the precip has been since yesterday. Like I said, I have that, through. I have through Saturday. What's the how much precip have we had since yesterday morning officially? Okay.
Beats me to
makes sense. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we had basically we doubled what we had through Saturday, the Climo through Saturday. I guess we basically doubled our monthly rainfall, which makes sense. So more to come this week.
You won't really find me complaining though.
So what does anybody think about seeing some wet snowflakes late in the week?
If memory serves right, this would be the latest I've ever seen snow.
Yeah, you're from North Carolina, so.
Well, but I have seen a first half of April snow, and I'd have to go back and look to see what the exact date was. But I was in Edinburgh, Scotland, and they had a weak North Atlantic system that was pretty well occluded, as I recall, more or less dissipating over eastern Scotland, and it was just enough for us to pick up. I think the Met Office said the total accumulations were about 1.5 centimeters. But it was a really pretty snow. It was just above freezing, so it wasn't totally obnoxious, I guess. And it was novel for all of us Americans from the Southeast.
Yeah, somebody had just said the May 8th and 9th snow shower. I remember, I think it was May 9th, 1977. There was about 4 or 5 inches of snow in the Poconos. And I think even officially at the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Airport, Avoca Airport, I think they had like 1.4 inches or something. This was May 9th. So this is pretty late in the game.
Yeah, I've never seen snow that late.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that, Bill.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that before I graduate translation next month.
I remember a Mother's Day not too long ago, maybe it was within the last 10 years, where there was, it was either graupel or maybe actually some bona fide snowflakes, but it was a pretty nasty setup in May that year. I mean, I want to say it was within the last 10 years. But yeah, we're still in line for more ups and downs and roller coaster ride. Yep. Yeah, the later into the season you get, I always say, like, everything has to work out just perfectly. Like, there's more stuff that could go wrong that it doesn't snow than right. Like, everything has to click exactly right. All the ducks have to be in order, in line for it to snow. The later each week you go by, deeper into the spring, it gets harder and harder for it to snow. The more stuff that just everything has to fall into place just right. It happens. And obviously the elevation differences, that really becomes more and more noticeable as you get deeper into the season. I think I think it was 1993. I remember a late, I think it was like the 21st or 2nd of April, and we had some measurable snow around here. And literally you saw some differences of just 300 or 400 feet in elevation, from like 11 or 1200 feet in elevation to 700 or 800 feet. And you were seeing 3 or 4 inches of wet snow on the ground to nothing. I mean, the difference was so, just a short drive down the road and a drop in, 300 or 400 feet in elevation made a huge difference. So that is so very, very common this time of year. Elevation plays a huge role.
All right. Well, if there is nothing else, Dave, thank you as always for another great presentation.
My pleasure. And I look forward to doing the next one in the fall.
Oh, we'll be sure to have you back next semester. This weather briefing and all other weather briefings will be archived on CWS's YouTube page at youtube.com/Campus Weather Service. And next week, Campus Weather Service is excited to announce our first ever internationally based presenter, Jess Torpy, the senior meteorologist at Uniper Global Commodities, will be joining us from Dusseldorf, Germany at the same time, same place, 10:15 Eastern. We will see you all next week. Have a great week, everybody.